good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Valeria Muhammad from Empower Her Health Wellness. I'm back again. Apparently this has been a hot topic. I'm going to do things a little bit differently, give you a little bit more information, so that way you have more time to ask questions. Because I think a lot of times I do give a lot of information, but I would like to hear from you this morning during a portion, so that if it's something that I can answer for you, I can. Came with some resources this time. I hope everyone got the brown folder. So we'll go through some of those things. They're back there on the table if you did not get them. So we're going to be talking about unleashing your midlife superpowers. And my thing now is we really need to redefine what strong her is. And I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised to new definition of what I feel strong her is. And we want to transform menopause and perimenopause into a vibrant journey. So many times it's been made to seem so taboo, but it's really not. It's really, I think I said this before, if you even get to that stage, that's a blessing.
Right. Yes.
Because in the world that we live in today, there's so many people who don't even get a chance to experience the other side of when you can no longer physically birth children.
Right.
So one of the things that I have been learning to do in my wellness journey is I love affirmations. I love mantras. I love to empower myself, because sometimes you only have you to depend on. I'm married, I have children, but if I don't, and grandchildren now, but if I don't self-motivate myself, particularly being one with the Creator who also God helps me empower and inspire myself, these are my little mantras. So one of the things I'll share this with you is that I've been saying is I'm not broken, I'm becoming. I trust the wisdom of my body, because I have to listen to it, and honor my rhythms and don't reject them. And my rest right now is very sacred. My leadership is powerful because I'm in a leadership role in the healthcare industry. And my healing begins now. So that every morning it's something that I have to say, because I have people that I monitor and maintain. So I have to keep myself together too, to make sure I keep everybody else together. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so I know before, briefly, this is my story. This is my inspiration, or all those little people and big people in that picture. So that is my family. That is my grandchildren. I have two more since this picture. So I think I've shared, and I'll share it because some of you don't know me. But when I was 18 months old, I was orphaned. My grandparents raised me. My parents were killed in a tragic car accident. So my grandparents raised me, my twin sister and my older sister. At 18, this guy right here, that's the one who called me. That's where I got the title mother. I had my first son at 18. At 21, I lost the love of my life, which was my grandmother. She was my mom, she was my everything. But the one thing that happened in that transition is that she taught me who I belonged to, and that was God. So even though I almost lost myself because I lost her, God said no. And I made her a very honest promise, and I kept my word that I was going to go back to nursing school. And I kept my word, and I honored her because she sacrificed her life, her time, her age to raise me and my two sisters, which is a huge thing, because at grandma's age, you should be doing grandma things, not being a mother all over again. But she sacrificed that for me. At the age of, in 2000, throughout that time, I was in nursing school. I got married. You see my husband in the back with his finger up next to our beautiful daughter, Janae. Married my husband. We'll be celebrating 25 years, God willing, on November the 2nd. So it feels like a little bit longer than that, but I'm just going to leave that there. But throughout that time, I continued my career. Started out as an LPN, went back for my diploma RN, went back for my bachelor's in nursing, and then finally went back for my master's and became a family nurse practitioner, all while growing this family. So family means everything to me because they sacrificed a lot for me to be here today. And graduated from Drexel University and became a family nurse practitioner. So I've worked in areas in Delaware where you can have, and make sure you pick up a packet in the bag. Westside Family Health, and Henrietta Johnson Medical Center, because my heart has always been with the underserved, underinsured migrant community. And that was a promise I made to my grandfather. When I graduated nursing school, he looked me in my eyes and he looked at me and he said, don't you ever forget where you come from. I was a single mother at one point on welfare, and I went back and educated myself, and I made that promise to him, and I kept that promise throughout this whole 28 years of my nursing career, that I was never going to forget the community where I came from and show them another side of it. So 2 big promises that I made to 2 very influential people in my life, which were my parents. So this is my family. So in 2023, I began to not feel well myself. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I was losing my hair. I couldn't sleep, but I was too tired. This brain fog. I felt like I had Alzheimer's. I share this all the time. I was so scared because my grandmother actually was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, and she was 57. I had just turned 50. And I'm like, I don't want that. So I finally went to my healthcare provider. She dismissed me and told me that I was doing too much. I was a little stressed, lose 10 pounds, and come back and see her. Did some basic lab work and said, come back and see me in 6 months. Has anyone ever experienced something like that? And you're sitting there like, no, I'm sorry, something's not right. So at that time, I was taking functional medicine courses to learn how to help people more holistically and naturally, because the community I was serving and managing, over 1,500 patients, they couldn't afford their medicine. So I had to figure out a way how to help them. But inadvertently, it came back to help me. And that's how Empower Her Health Wellness was born. The minute she told me I was fine, I used my education that I paid for outside of Drexel and ordered my own advanced lab testing and did my own evaluation of myself and realized I had Hashimoto's syndrome, vitamin D deficiency. My estradiol level was down to 5, which explained why I couldn't even think, because it causes severe brain fog. And then I was deficient in some of my nutrients. So I became my first client. And then after I started feeling better, I started with the women in my family and the women in my believing community at the mosque. Like, listen, I want y'all to feel like this. And it was my big sister who said, girl, you need to leave that job and start your own practice. And I looked at my sister, and you would think I would have been excited, right? I was like, I can't leave my comfortable paying job. You want me to leave like vacation time, PTO time, like all of that? But it was the best thing that my big sister, who's my AK second mom, told me, and that's how Empower Her Health was born. So now, I think the last time I came, I said that I was completely telehealth, correct? Well, I have now office space, so it's a hybrid practice. So I'll be able to see people in person and telehealth starting in September, as I'm getting the place all fixed up and all fancy. So God just keeps moving, and I'm super excited. I'll be in Newport Pike. I can't remember the exact address right now, so I can't give. I think it's 2126 Newport Pike, Wilmington, Delaware. But I'll pass that information on. But I still like to listen to women, look at blood pressures and different things. So since 2023, I've been telehealth, now be in person. So my sister was right. Go ahead and start your own practice and see how God's going to work things out for you. So the reason why I chose to deal with women, particularly only women, one, because I have 4 sons, 5 grandsons, and a husband. That's enough testosterone for me. So I will deal with women where I'm comfortable. But seriously, I chose this topic and I chose this platform because it's a silent epidemic in women's healthcare. You have 55% of the women 30. And I start to talk to young women. You start having perimenopause symptoms at 30. In the Black community, it can start at 30 to too. So you can have perimenopause symptoms and be at postpartum, right, having a baby. So you can still have these same symptoms. So just to throw the definitions out there, perimenopause is any time before you start not having a cycle for 365 days. And we call that the zone of chaos. When you start having all these symptoms that make no sense whatsoever, and it happens long before we stop having a menstrual cycle.
Yes.
Everyone tends to think that it starts when you have those menstrual cycles where one time they're 28 days and then the next time they're 48 days. No, it can start with, you'll see this questionnaire that you have in that questionnaire, but it is a questionnaire in there and you'll be able to scan it for the gift. So women are 2 times, so that was perimenopause. Menopause is only 1 day, and that is when you have went 365 days without a menstrual cycle. That's it. And the medical definition of that is kind of harsh. Total ovarian failure, meaning you no longer can produce eggs. That's it. And then everything after that is postmenopausal, and we spend 1/3 of our life in that time frame. So it's very important for us to understand what's happening, because there's a certain time where you just don't feel like yourself. And everyone is telling you it's normal. It is not normal to feel the way you feel. So women in perimenopause are 2 times more likely to experience depressive symptoms or suicide ideations. Very big in the Black community right now. A lot of women not wanting to be here, but just not understanding how their hormones are playing into that. 70%, that was me, report cognitive changes during perimenopause and menopause. Brain fog, forgetfulness, word finding, and you're just like, what is going on? You just can't get your own self out of your own way sometimes. Most don't get help until after the age of 56. So could you imagine 32 to 56 feeling like this and everyone's telling you this is normal? I refuse to accept that. I just got all those adult children out of my house. There is no way I could go through that and just, I'm 52, I haven't even reached 56 yet, to feel bad and not have anyone explain to me what's happening. 3 million women enter menopause every day. 1 in 4 women said that menopause contributed to the break of their marriage. That's very profound. So if it's 25% in other communities, I wonder how much it is in our community. Because we don't talk about things. We stay silent because we're that strong Black woman that can handle everything. So like I said, we're going to redefine what strong is. And according to the CDC, women 45 to 65 have the highest suicide rate among all females. That is very hurtful to me, that women from the age of 45 to 64 might not even physically want to be here because they don't understand what's going on with their body. And that's where this work starts. So 1 in 6 women enter menopause. By 2030, 1.2 billion will be in menopause. And most women are suffering silently, and like I said, we're going to spend 1/3 of our lives in this transition. So today we're going to go over a couple of things. We're going to learn that symptoms are little messengers. It's just telling you something's wrong here. You know, we are beautifully made, and we have the great capacity to heal ourselves. The problem is we don't listen to our own signals. As women, we ignore them. Everybody else becomes a priority except ourselves. And I think we need to change that platform. Particularly since I hit 50, I'm truly all about, listen, I don't care. You know, I have to get my brain correct. Not that I don't care, but I have to prioritize my health because I want to be here to enjoy the fruits of my labors. Don't you want to be here to enjoy the fruits of your labors? Okay. So we're going to shift from that hustle and grinding to a healing mode. The other day, I think it was yesterday, I slept in. I had my 2-month-old grandbaby for a couple of hours, and her parents came to pick her up, I think at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't used to that. I was like, wait a minute, the baby is looking at me. My little Aria was looking at me, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, girl, you need to go to sleep. And she's looking at me like, no, this is my time. And I'm like, okay. So, you know, parents came to pick her up, and my alarm went off at 5. I shut that alarm just gotten up and I slept till 7 o'clock because I needed rest. I wasn't used to it. So we're going to learn to lead from alignment and not adrenaline. A lot of times we get into that go mode, that panic mode, because we're so responsive. Now we have to get into that mode where I always tell my children this, stop and think. Do I need to go and insert myself into somebody else's situation because I'm the go-to person all the time? Not anymore. Because what it does, it disrupts my daily path. It takes me off of what I'm supposed to be doing, because what I've learned, everybody's urgency is not my emergency.
Right.
So
right.
if you got yourself into that situation, I need to answer questions before I hop in my car, forget everything I'm supposed to do, and go get you out of the situation that I probably shouldn't help you out of because God's trying to show you something, but I keep inserting myself. So those are some of the things that I've been backing myself out of, because that's what we need to do as women so that we can be here a little bit longer. So during this time, we're going to show you how the root cause of your symptoms. I love this picture. I'm a visual person. So many times we only see the outside of ourselves, right? That part of the iceberg that's underneath represents what's going on the inside. And it's deep. It's deeply rooted. You see this amazing thing on the top, but we're surface. So we need to understand what's going on the inside so that we can still perfect the outside, but show up in a different way where we're healing from the inside out instead of the outside in, okay? Because nobody does it better than us. No one shows up and performs better than a black woman. I don't care. You can prove, I'll bet my life on that. We do it the best because of what we've been through.
Yes.
But now it's time for us to heal from the inside out.
Yes.
Do y'all agree?
Yes.
So this is just a tip. So it starts with symptom checks. A lot of times when you go to the provider, it's all about one symptom and medication. But we have multiple things going on. You start talking about more than one thing, they don't want to hear it. But you got to put the puzzle together to understand this is why you're doing this and this is why you feel this way. And then the advanced lab testing gives me more information. So got 15 minutes to explain some things to you because my point is for you to feel better again. So I'll give you all that I can now, but I feel like in the end some of you will want a little bit more, and I have some resources for you. And I'm going to give you the access that you can get them, okay? So I never go anywhere without a gift. So if you can scan this QR code and they give a free gift. But here's some of the other things. 2 out of 3 women mimic or worsen attention deficit disorder due to declining estrogen. If you remember the last time I said we have insulin receptors in every cell and every system in our body. It's just not our ovaries. So you ever like go to send an email? Maybe I'm the only person. You go to send an email and it takes you like 15 minutes to go send the email because your brain is like all over here. Oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do that. That's what attention deficit disorder or estrogen decline. You lose the ability to just focus and concentrate on one thing that you were supposed to do. And you're like, I never took 15 minutes to send one email. But your brain starts going haywire because estrogen keeps your brain calm with the neurotransmitters that we're used to, like dopamine, epinephrine, all of these neurotransmitters that our brain uses to keep us calm and in order are all chaotic because of the decline of estrogen and progesterone. So now our body is fighting to get that balance back, and we don't understand what's happening. So women with early menopause, so traditionally I would say 50. So women who go through menopause earlier by surgery, anyone who's had a hysterectomy and they take your ovaries, that's induced estrogen, or anyone who is suffering from breast cancer and maybe on an estrogen blocker, that puts you almost into a menopause state, or anyone that just goes into menopause early are 3 more times likely to develop Alzheimer's, because the decline in estrogen in our brain, in our neurotransmitters. There's a research study that's going on at Duke University right now that's showing that the white matter in our brain that's responsible for cognition is changing when women estrogen decline, early menopause. And no one's talking about this. And this is why it's so important that we talk about it and that you know the information, because we don't have to experience that. 85% of all my clients, including myself, were suffering extreme fatigue because your brain is trying to self-regulate and it can't because no estrogen on board. So we're tired more often, and it's like you can't even explain the fatigue. It's like I lay down for 8 hours. How on earth can I wake up still feeling tired? That just seems like a punishment almost. So, and 50% of women experience stress, incontinence, sneezing, coughing, laughing, and urine leakage. I used to say this to myself. I was a nurse, right? We never got bathroom breaks. We really didn't. And I used to say, running the floor, running the ICU unit. One person goes bad, forget it. 12 hours, like you'll forget to go to the bathroom. I'm worried about my patients and all this. And I used to say this, man, when I get 50, I know I'm gonna be wearing Depends. I'm 52 now. And I'm like, I wish I would have never said that. So I run to the bathroom a lot because I remember saying it, like I knew, like I was predicting what was gonna happen to me because I just didn't have the time to go to the bathroom. I mean, it really, sometimes you're working on a project, you can train your brain to forget not to go to the bathroom. And I don't like using public restrooms either. So I'm like, no, wait till I get home. That is not good for us. We need to take some wipes and go to the bathroom so you can save your bladder. So we see a spike in cholesterol, and I'm going to explain to you why that happens. 85% weight gain without any cause, eating more, moving less. You get that belly fat, right? And I explain to people, I look good, I'm snatched, right? It's because I have on Spanx. AKA what my grandma used to call a girdle. Because I pulled myself in. Because I got that belly fat, and I'm like, what is going on? I was using my kangaroo pouch from my children. You know, we got accustomed to that. But then it started coming up. I'm like, what is this all about? Because estrogen is very anti-inflammatory. So what happens when you have estrogen decline, you have this layer of visceral fat that develops and becomes active because your fat tissues almost wake up. So they lay over your heart, your stomach, and you see your whole microbiome change, your gut, because 99% of your serotonin receptors are in your stomach. So if we're having problems with estrogen decline and progesterone decline, our stomachs turn into more like a male version of a gut. You know how men, when they age, they get that gut? That's what happens to women, and why it happens because of the decline in estrogen and the change of the whole microbiome in your gut. Have you ever heard of the phrase that your gut is your second brain, your stomach is your second brain? It is your second brain. There's a strong correlation between what goes on in our stomach, in our gut, and our brain. So if you're constipated, it's usually a stress or something that you're not getting. So not having regular bowel movements is really connected to your brain. It sounds weird, but it's because you have 99% of your serotonin receptors in your stomach, only 5% in your brain, which controls your mood. So you ever get like I know I don't appear, but I always get nervous before I speak. My stomach is always bubbling, like, oh gosh, I hope I don't say something wrong, I don't offend anyone, like all the time. So I sit here, I say a prayer, I calm myself down, but I know what's going on in my stomach because it's what's going on in my brain. So that's what they call butterflies, right? You ever heard that?
Yes.
That's why you get butterflies if you do public speaking. They tell you to look at someone and pretend they got underwear on or something like that, because you're actively like all messed up here. So I won't eat. I'll like drink my coffee. I'm like after I'm done because I don't want to be running on to the bathroom, you know. So menopause with hip fractures. So when you turn 65, does everyone know when you turn 65 you're supposed to get something called a DEXA scan?
Is that a bone scan?
A bone density scan.
Yeah.
You get it at, your insurance will not pay for it until you're 65. But do you know the age of when your bone mass changes? 30. 30 30 years old, and you know why? Because of estrogen decline. In your joints, what happens as your estrogen level drops, estrogen is very anti-inflammatory. It protects your body from getting inflamed from the inside out. As your estrogen declines, joints, what's arthritis? Arthro is a joint. Itis is inflammation. Arthritis is joint inflammation. So women, when we go through perimenopause, or I'll explain insulin resistance because it can happen in younger people, we get inflamed in our joints, right? Estrogen decline goes down. And then with our bones, what else estrogen helps produce is collagen. Collagen is what we need from, some people say eat bone broth or you get it from an animal source, but collagen is other things to get collagen from. And that, I'll explain some more, that's in that little book back there. But collagen is influenced more by estrogen. So collagen is your glue. It kind of holds your skin tight. It holds your joint tight. It makes your joints more flexible because your joint is a hinge. Open up a door and you see how you can move. So you have certain joints. When estrogen is no longer there, collagen production decreases. That's why our skin starts to get dry. Sometimes our hair can fall out because you need collagen to produce hair follicles, and joints. So that is what happens with hip. As a 30-year-old woman, we start to lose the ability of our bone cells. They're called osteocytes. They produce at a high rate, right? When we hit 30, they start slowing down because of the decrease in estrogen at 30. So we don't eat the best a lot of times, so we're not putting collagen back into our body. So what's happening is more bone cells that are made, they're dying faster than we can make them. And that is what osteoporosis is. When your bone cells can't grow as fast as they die. But the decline starts at 30. So why in the world are we getting DEXA scans at 65? When we know that most women are in menopause or having menopausal symptoms, at least at 50. Shouldn't we be getting bone scans at like 30 and 40 and not 65? And why our insurance won't even cover it? So that's one of the things that I'm trying to figure out in Empower Her Health Wellness, even if it's out of pocket, because I believe your health is your wealth. How to get women discounted rates to get bone density scans done at least by 40. So you don't have to succumb to this statistic. 50% of women never return to pre-fracture function. 29% women, when a woman dies, we call it a pathological fracture. Meaning, not that you fall or someone hit you or you were in an accident. This means that you could literally be walking down the street, and because your bones aren't glued together with collagen, you don't have enough, and you have arthritis, you can fall and fracture your hip because of osteoporosis that a lot of times we don't catch until 65, but you may have had it at 40. And then this is the statistic that I'm like, we have to get ahead of this so that none of us is going to be dealing with 29% women die within 1 year after having a pathological fracture hip surgery and never can function to their mobility. Does anyone know anyone that has a hip fracture? Or a hip replacement, let me say. A lot of times you see they forever don't walk the same. I don't want that for me, and I definitely don't want that for you, but it starts with understanding what's happening in women at 30. I have a 32-year-old daughter, and I talk to her all the time about her nutrition because I don't want this to be her statistic. And 60% of women report low libido, vaginal dryness, sexual dysfunction. Huge problem. Married women, huge problem. Even if you're not married, just the vaginal dryness produces symptoms like you feel like you have a urinary tract infection every single day and you have no idea why. You have these vaginal odors that only you can smell. So you keep taking a shower 3 or 4 times and it's like, why? What is going on? Or you feel like you have symptoms of BV, bacterial vaginitis. And you're wondering why, when we know that this is just because of the decline of estrogen in the vaginal tract. It keeps everything intact, and now when it's not there, you have all these symptoms. And I went through that. I explain this. I like to ride my bike, not a real bike. Spin. I spin bike. And I love to spin. And I was spinning one day, and I was like, I only can explain it where I felt like razor blades were in my vagina. Like, what is that? So it stopped me from spinning because I would walk, and I'm like, what's going on? And then I realized, okay, once I started putting it together, so I tried vaginal moisturizer, all these different things that I had to try. And I'm telling you, one of the things, it was very debilitating because it changed my whole exercise regimen, which was something that I was very passionate about because it helped calm me down when I had to see 20 patients a day and listen to 20 problems. But it was very disruptive to my relationship with my husband. And I think I shared this story. Mm-hmm. I would be tiptoeing, like, I would wait for him to go to bed, like, oh, he's asleep. Tiptoeing up the steps. You never had the little children that tiptoe and climb in the bed with you, and you were like, you need to go get in your own bed. Well, that was me. Mm-hmm. Turn it. So eventually, I had to have a conversation, and it was one of the most beautiful moments in our relationship because I had to be the one to say something because I was different, and things are different for me now. But now we both understand, and I think that's why divorce rates are so high, because we remain silent, and I'm not going to be silent or experience painful sex. It's not enjoyable at all. And I have these conversations with my clients. We go deep into it so we give suggestions and results because we don't talk about it in our community, and we definitely don't talk about it with our provider, because if you're sitting in front of a mill, how embarrassing is that to say something about, right?
Right. So
that's why I choose to work with women, because it's a safe space. Because I'm right there with you, like, yeah, I know, isn't that crazy? But my grandmothers didn't tell me any of this, right? I didn't know any of this. I learned all of this by experiencing it. So, and I'm gonna stress this, a lot of women are inadvertently put on antidepressant medications and their symptoms aren't addressed because of mental health issues. So we have to figure out what is the root cause of the problem before you just throw a medication, because medication causes more side effects.
That's right.
So, and then you don't take that and you still aren't getting the results. So I want you to raise your hand, because this is me. If you walked into a room and completely forgot why you were there, I'm definitely gonna raise my hand. I remember, have you raised your hand if you ever were so tired and you sat in the car crying like, oh my God, I gotta go in here and cook dinner, I have to do all these things because you're so tired. That has been me at times. And you sat across from your healthcare provider who told you everything was normal, even though you felt like something was wrong, like, I'm gonna put 5 hands up if I could. That was me. And you try to talk to someone about how you're feeling, and they look at you like, I don't know what you're talking about, and you can't even explain it. It's like, whose body am I in? And I'm standing on my feet. But if you look in the mirror, stand on your feet. If you ever looked in the mirror and really didn't recognize the person looking back at you, that is something that we need to do. Look at the man in the mirror. That is one of my favorite songs. Mm-hmm. I look at myself at times and I don't know who this person is. And we spend so much time focusing on everything else and don't even understand who we are. What is all of your favorite color?
Royal blue.
Blue?
Royal blue.
Royal blue? Purple? Orange? Yellow?
Black.
Black? Oh, I love black. Black is beautiful. So, what's the one thing, if you could do right now, that to celebrate yourself, what is your most favorite thing you like to do?
Shopping.
She said it within 2 seconds.
Uh-huh.
You see what I'm talking about? 2 seconds, shopping. So sometimes it's just getting to know what you like to do. I love sunflowers. So it's my husband's birthday next week. I decided I planned a date night for us because I want to go pick sunflowers. I found a sunflower farm, someone sent it to me. Sometimes it's just about walking outside. I love to walk. I love to actually walk barefooted. You know, it's something about grass, because I was raised kind of country.
Yeah.
We had a big backyard, we would run outside. It's something about walking in the grass outside. Those are the things that I love to do.
Too.
And I love to have me a whole Mary J. Blige concert to myself. She is my best friend. Those are the things that I love. But if you probably would have asked me 5 years ago, I'm like, look, I'm in school, or not school, but I was working. But now I gotta love the person who is looking back at me in the mirror, okay? Because if no one can rely on me, I can rely on me. And for me to show up in a way that I'm grounded. So sometimes it's just about doing something that I was sharing with her. I will show you the pictures. I went to a glow party, my cousin's 50th birthday party, and I've never been to a glow party, so you know I went to Amazon. That's my favorite place. That's another place where I need to stay off of. I probably should have stock with Amazon. But I had a glow hat, like it lit up like LDO lights, and